All right, guys. So there was an interesting poll that came out from Politico this morning that really kind of, I think, defines the state of the current GOP and the Republican Party from a numerical standpoint, right? And I get it. Some people are sketchy about polls, but it's the only data that we have to go off of, and these polls kind of play in people's favors to a certain extent if you are pro-Trump. So let's take a look at some of the details here and kind of break down the nuances, in my opinions, on the current state of support in the party. Now, it says, while the rest of the country wants less Donald Trump, Republicans just can't quit him. Our flash Politico/morning consult poll conducted in the days following the Senate trial shows that despite the impeachment manager's gripping presentation and video laying out Trump's role in the January 6th rampage, the GOP remains the undisputed party of Trump. Republican voters got over any misgivings they had about Trump's role in the January 6th very quickly. 59% of Republican voters said they want Trump to play a major role in their party going forward. That's up 18 percentage points from a morning consult poll conducted on January 7th and an increase of 9 points from a follow-up poll on January 25th before the impeachment trial began. So basically, Trump got more popular after he was cleared. And right now, it looks like he's at 59% of support from the party, right? The party says they want him to play a major role, which in my opinion, probably most likely means that, he is currently the front runner in regards to the 2024 nomination, which should be no surprise to anybody, right? So let's keep going. While Trump's overall favorability rating is an abysmal 34% in our latest poll, 81% Republican respondents gave him positive remarks. Trump was at 77% approval among Republicans on January 7th and 74% on January 25th. This new poll comes as the most prominent elected Republican, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, has begun a post-impeachment effort to loosen Trump's grip on the party. While McConnell wrote in Wall Street Journal op-ed Monday that he was bound by the Constitution to acquit Trump because he's out of office, he's also made it clear he's prepared to take on Trump-backed Senate candidates in 2022 when they risk blowing winnable races. All right, so this is important. This is very, very, very important. Because moving forward here, guys, we're going to see how serious not only former President Trump is, but the Trump family and the Trump brand is about being in politics, right? We're going to see how serious they are about ideology, about, trying to create change in this country, right? Trying to be a political force, because this is where the nitty gritty stuff is made, right? And I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is McConnell's game. Right, this is what he specializes in. McConnell specializes in the details, right? That's the reason why I call him the kingmaker of the Republican Party. Is he the king? No, obviously, Trump is the king. But McConnell is undoubtedly, in my mind, at least when it comes to legislation, is the kingmaker, right? Because he understands the details, right? He's been in Washington for so long that he's basically mastered the art of politics, right? And a part of that is who is properly selecting who is going to be the general candidate. Okay. And this is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, every single primary, right? Specifically with the presidential primaries, you notice how there's always a candidate of choice, right? You notice how there's always a de facto leader, right? At the beginning, right? For example, in 2024, the de facto establishment candidate is Nikki Haley, right? If you take away Trump, it's Nikki Haley, right? That's the establishment candidate. In 2016, it was Jeb Bush. He was the de facto candidate. He was the one that was supposed to win, right? Same thing with the Democrats. In 2016, Hillary was the one that was supposed to win. In 2020, Joe Biden was the one that was supposed to win. This is how our election process works. Right? Really and truly. This is how it works. There are favorite candidates going into these races that are going to get the most party resources and the most backing. Okay? And that not only happens at the presidential level, it also happens in these Senate and House races, right? Especially in the races that are in more purple districts that have more purple states and more purple districts, right? Districts that can be flipped easily. It is important to make sure that you have a hands-on approach in terms of which candidates you are running in those races and to make sure they can actually win. Okay. So the thing is that President Trump, and not only just him, but the Trump family, whatever type of political thing they want to be, if they really want to be serious about it, they're going to have to start establishing some type of infrastructure to go about trying to win some of these primaries, right? Because they're going to be fighting against the establishment. McConnell's already said, listen, I don't really care if it's a Trump candidate, but if that Trump candidate basically makes it so we can't win in a general election, we're going to run against them, right? We're going to make sure they don't win the primary. That's what McConnell's saying. So if Trump is smart and he's aware of this, then he needs to kind of understand that dynamic and carefully pick and choose who and where Trump-backed candidates are going to make a run. Okay? So that'll be the interesting political chess game going on between the Trump and McConnell sides of the party moving forward that I want you guys to understand. Though the 2024 primary is still far off, who knows what will happen with Trump 3 months from now, let alone in 3 years. He currently swaps any potential rival. 53% of Republicans said they will vote for Trump if the primary were held today. All the other Republican hopefuls are polling in the low single digits besides Mike Pence, who received 12%. No surprise there. Marco Rubio, Tom Cotton, Mitt Romney, Kristi Noem, Larry Hogan, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Tim Scott, and Rick Scott all polled below 5%. And only Donald Trump Jr. and Nikki Haley punched through at 6%. Okay, so, I mean, at least with this poll, that at least telling you that, again, Trump has a grip on more than 53% of the party. And if he decided to run again in 2024, assuming, that he's still as popular as he is right now, he'll win the primary landslides. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And you have Pence that's in second, no surprise there. And then you have, Trump Jr. and Nikki Haley after that. So the top three candidates for 2024, according to the polls, are all Trump backed, right? To a certain extent, right? If you want to count Mike Pence because he was the VP. Obviously, he has the Trump brand associated with him. And then you have the establishment, Nikki Haley, at fourth. So that's the polls. And we also have some other developments that are happening within the party in terms of censors that also go to reinforce this idea that, especially at the local level, that the Trump support is very, very, very strong, right? Anybody that speaks out against Trump at this point really is in danger of being excommunicated from the local and state level GOP parties, which is quite amazing to see. I mean, let's read a little bit. McConnell said in a Wall Street Journal opinion piece Monday that there was no question Trump bears moral responsibility, and said his supporters stormed the Capitol because of the unhinged falsehoods he shouted into the world's largest megaphone. His behavior during and after the chaos was also unconscionable. Others, such as House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, initially spoke out against Trump after the riot, but quickly re-embraced him, stating that the former president is key to the party's success in the 2022 midterm elections. All right, guys, I already told you guys my opinion on Kevin McCarthy, right? And I throw him in the same bucket with Lindsey Graham, right? Those are the Republicans that understand that, okay, we got to keep the ship together, right? And they're more willing to do so than somebody like McConnell, who I think is indifferent in regards to cutting Trump off at this point, right? I don't think he's going to go out of his way to do it, but he's not going to go out of his way to stop it either, right? McCarthy and Lindsey Graham are going to go out of their way to stop the party from collapsing because of a split between the establishment and Trump supporters. That's the best way to describe Kevin McCarthy and Lindsey Graham's positions right now. So that's why when a lot of people get upset about Kevin McCarthy, speaking out against Trump because of the riot thing, it's like that's not the full picture. The full picture is that Lindsey Graham and Kevin McCarthy are essentially trying to play both sides of the party in order to keep the party together so that they have a chance to win in 2022 moving forward, right? That's what they're trying to do. So like I was saying before, if you speak out against Trump, you are in danger of being censored, right? Punished by the party, denounced officially. And one of the senators that voted to convict Trump was one of my senators, Richard Burr from North Carolina, who is facing some backlash from the state GOP. And he's not the only one. Burr's not the only Republican to be rebutted for his vote to convict. Louisiana's Republican Party voted on Saturday to censor Senator Bill Cassidy. Republican Party leaders in Pennsylvania and Maine are prepared to censure Senators Pat Toomey and Susan Collins, respectively, for their votes to convict. Toomey, who is not seeking re-election in 2022, has already been censured by several county-level Republican parties, some of which voted to censure him even before his Saturday vote. Quote, "As far as we're concerned, his political career is over in this state, even if he were to try to run again," Washington County Republican Party Chair Dave Ball told the Associated Press news agency, quote, "His legacy is tarnished beyond repair." In addition to Burr, Cassidy, Toomey, and Collins, and other Senate Republicans who voted to convict were Alaska's Lisa Murkowski, Utah's Mitt Romney, and Nebraska's Ben Sasse. In contrast to the growing number of censures, the Utah Republican Party released a statement in support of Romney's vote to convict, saying his difference in opinion compared to fellow Utah Senator Mike Lee's vote to acquit shows a diversity of thought. All right, guys, so you can see the letter here in which Utah Republican Party is basically saying, hey, Romney can think for himself and that, we're not a monolith. So that's how they're defending Mitt Romney, right? That's how they're defending Mitt Romney. And basically avoiding censoring him, but everybody else is essentially in danger of being formally denounced by their local and state legislators, which again, guys, just shows the amount of power that Trump still has in the party and influence. And quite honestly, guys, I mean, moving forward, the future of Trump and the party is really going to come down to how serious Trump is and his family is about establishing some type of political infrastructure, okay? Like really trying to, essentially become like the Clintons or the Bushes of the Republican Party, right? I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to, okay? And if they decide to do that, if they decide to be serious about vetting and running local and state candidates, then President Trump essentially has the ability to become the kingmaker, okay? Right now, Trump is king. Right, he's king, but his influence is very, very limited because he's not in office. He doesn't have an elected position, and he's also been severely censored by social media, and his way of getting out messages to people has been very, very limited, right? So he's a king with a voice that only can go so far. McConnell, on the other hand, still has legislative power. He still understands the government. He still has the political infrastructure. He has the establishment behind him. He has all that, right? So, over the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what, if any, political groundwork is going to be laid by the Trump team in regards to establishing their own candidates and really carving out a very legitimate wing of the party to be able to get elected and to see if they can potentially win some general elections. Now, McConnell obviously doesn't think Trump candidates can win general elections. That's why he wants to push back. However, they're in this weird situation where regardless of what people think about in the general, you won't make it to the general if you're not supported by Trump, right? So that's really the conundrum that the Republican Party is in. So we will see what happens. It'll be very, very interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.